A relationship's demise due to infidelity rarely starts with a grand gesture like a kiss mark on a shirt or a late night with no explanation. It begins with language. There are little things a woman will say, believing they hide her deception, but in reality, they expose her guilt more than anything else. What's scary is that most men don't notice. They hear these lines and end up blaming themselves, getting gaslighted into silence, convinced they are just being paranoid or insecure. However, a woman's true feelings are always revealed by what she says. When she is being unfaithful, she will unknowingly use certain phrases that serve as clear red flags. Today, I'm going to reveal what those phrases are. Once you understand what these phrases truly mean, you'll never again doubt your gut feelings. Why don't you trust me? Initially, this sounds like an innocent, even reasonable question. A woman asks it with wide, sincere-looking eyes, perhaps with a slight tremble in her voice. When men hear this, they typically back off immediately, consumed by guilt and self-doubt. They might think, maybe I am too suspicious. Maybe the problem is me. But here's the unsettling truth: when a woman suddenly says, "Why don't you trust me?" it's often because she's aware she's already broken your trust. The words slip out because her conscience is speaking for her. Psychologists refer to this as projection, a defense mechanism where someone pushes their own guilt onto another person. Instead of confronting her own betrayal, she paints you as the paranoid, insecure, or unreasonable one. This tactic redirects attention away from her actions, forcing you to defend yourself instead. And if you fall for it, she wins. Consider the context. A faithful woman seldom needs to ask this question because her actions prove her honesty. Her behavior and her words are consistent. She is open, transparent, and dependable. In contrast, an unfaithful woman feels the stress of her double life. She knows her phone holds messages she hopes you'll never see. She's aware that her sudden late nights, vague excuses, and emotional distance are suspicious. So, before you can even confront her, she flips the script. Why don't you trust me? It's not a genuine question, it's a defensive shield. The moment you rush to reassure her, you give her the advantage. Imagine this scenario: you ask a simple question, perhaps something like, "Who were you with last night?" Instead of a direct answer, she becomes defensive, her tone sharpens, and then she hits you with it, "Why don't you trust me?" Notice what just happened. Your original question vanished. The focus is no longer on her behavior but on your supposed insecurity. This is no accident, it's a deliberate strategy, even if she doesn't consciously plan it. Most men fail here. They hear these words and immediately panic. "Of course, I trust you, baby," they might say, or worse, "You're right. I shouldn't doubt you." This desperate reassurance might ease the tension for a moment, but it only encourages her to keep lying because she's learned she can control you with her words. A Stoic man, however, handles it differently. He doesn't get drawn into these emotional games. He recognizes the phrase for what it is, or a bright red flag. Instead of defending himself, he simply observes. Instead of arguing, he goes silent. Silence often reveals more than any debate ever could. In that silence, she might panic. She realizes her old trick didn't work, and that's when the cracks in her story start to show. The truth is, a faithful woman doesn't need to demand trust, her behavior earns it. Only the guilty insist on it. When she says, "Why don't you trust me?" she's unintentionally giving herself away. So the next time you hear those words, don't dismiss them as just drama. Don't let yourself feel guilty. See them for what they are, a confession disguised as a question. You're overreacting. When a woman is loyal, she responds to your concerns with a calm, clear mind. She explains, reassures, and makes you feel secure. But when she's hiding something, the moment you bring up her behavior, she snaps back with the dismissive phrase, "You're overreacting." At first, it might seem like she's trying to de-escalate the situation. But if you look closer, you'll see this isn't comfort, it's deflection. She isn't addressing the real issue, she's minimizing your gut feeling. And that's the giveaway. Psychologists call this gaslighting, a manipulation tactic where someone makes you doubt your own perception of reality. An unfaithful woman uses the "you're overreacting" line to shift the focus from her actions to your supposed paranoia. If she can make you question your own instincts, she gains more time to cover her tracks. Imagine this: you notice she's constantly on her phone late at night, smiling at messages she won't show you. You ask about it, and instead of an honest answer, you get, "You're overreacting." It's nothing. That word "nothing" is a lie. If it were truly nothing, she would show you. The fact that she doesn't means it's definitely something. Most men give in at this point. They don't want to be seen as insecure, so they back down and even apologize. In that moment, she wins. She learns that all she has to do is accuse you of overreacting, and you will silence yourself. That is why this phrase is so dangerous. The Stoic response? You don't argue, and you don't retreat. You remain silent, observe, and let her words hang in the air. This silence forces her to confront the weakness of her own excuse. The less you react, the more her nervousness will grow, and nervousness will always reveal the cracks. Remember this: a faithful woman will try to calm your doubts. An unfaithful woman will mock them. And every time she tells you you're overreacting, she's unknowingly revealing her guilt. I just need some space. The word space is a phrase women use when they are already on their way out of the relationship. When a woman is committed, she wants to be closer to you, seeking more connection, more intimacy, and more closeness. But when she's being unfaithful or is considering it, she creates distance. And she justifies that distance by saying, "I just need some space." Of course, in a healthy relationship, people do need room to breathe. But here's the critical difference: when the need for space is genuine, she will still be emotionally available. She'll explain her reasons clearly and include you in the process. When it's not genuine, the word "space" becomes a shield for secrecy. It's not about taking time for herself, it's about making room for someone else. Think about the timing. A woman typically doesn't ask for space when things are going well. She asks for it when her guilt is mounting. She wants distance because it eases her conscience. If she cheats while still in a committed relationship, the betrayal feels sharper. But if she creates distance first, she can tell herself that the relationship was already ending. This lie makes her feel less guilty. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance reduction, a mental trick used to justify bad behavior by rewriting the narrative. She doesn't think, "I'm betraying him." She tells herself, "I needed space. We were already growing apart." It's not really cheating. Most men don't see this for what it is. They hear the words and think, "She just needs some time. I'll give it to her." But giving her space at this point doesn't help things, it makes them worse because that space isn't for her healing, it's for her betrayal. The Stoic man sees right through this. He doesn't panic or beg when she asks for space. He observes, detaches, and prepares himself for the truth. Because asking for space isn't a request, it's a confession. When a woman says, "I just need some space," she doesn't realize she's giving herself away. But she is, because no woman in love wants distance from the man she truly desires. Only the unfaithful do. It's not what it looks like. There's a reason this phrase is so well known. It's the automatic response of someone caught in the act. An unfaithful woman says it almost instinctively, without conscious thought or planning, because her mind is scrambling to protect her secret. Think about it. If something genuinely wasn't what it seemed, she would calmly explain the situation. She would offer details, reassurance, and maybe even proof. But when she blurts out, "It's not what it looks like," she's showing panic. That panic is the tell. Psychologists call this a reflexive denial response. It's the mind's attempt to create distance between her guilt and her exposure. But here's the irony: by saying it, she confirms that there is, in fact, something for you to see. The harsh reality is this: if you ever hear her say, "It's not what it looks like," chances are it's exactly what it looks like. And deep down, she knows she just confessed. You're just being insecure. When a woman is loyal, she addresses your concerns directly and reassures you with honesty. But when she's being unfaithful, she doesn't want to deal with your suspicions. So, she attacks you. That's when you hear the phrase, "You're just being insecure." At first, it feels like an insult. But it's actually projection. She's the one burdened with guilt and secrecy, and instead of facing it, she shifts the blame onto you. Now, the problem isn't her hidden behavior, it's your supposed insecurity. It's a clever, yet telling, tactic. This is another form of gaslighting. By labeling your intuition as a weakness, she's trying to undermine your confidence. Because the more you doubt yourself, the easier it is for her to continue lying. Most men fall for it. They question themselves, retreat, and even apologize. But here's the truth, suspicion isn't always insecurity. Sometimes it's a gut feeling. Your intuition picks up on things your mind tries to ignore, the late text replies, the secretive phone use, the emotional distance. These are signals. And when she calls you insecure, she's trying to silence the alarm bell ringing in your chest.